Hey girls, Coach here. Want to go through a formation with you a little bit. We're going to be working with a new formation going into the scrimmage we have this weekend and into the tournament next weekend. No, I'm sorry, 2 weekends from now. And then going into the season with us. All right, both teams that that are working together this year, we're both going to be having the same formation. And I'll talk to you a little bit about why we're changing formation as we go throughout this. Okay, so if you remember, the last formation we were working with was a 4-2-3-1. Right, so let's drop this a little bit so it's a little bit more clear what we were working with. A 4-2-3-1. We had four backs. All right, we had our four backs. We had our two center defensive midfielders, the 6 and the 8. We had our three center attacking midfielders, the 11, the 10, and the 7, and then we had the number 9 as the one striker. So we were playing a 4-2-3-1. That's what I taught you over the last couple weeks. The reason we're looking to change and adapt is, there's a couple reasons to it, but for you, it's very good for you to learn a new formation and a new system. You never know what systems and what formations you'll be playing with throughout your life, so you had a little bit of experience with that last one, and we're going to adapt a little bit to go to this new one. Other reasons, as a coach, I don't just play one system and make all my teams fit it. Right? That's not, in my opinion, the best way to approach coaching. I took a look at the players that we have this year and the strengths and weaknesses we have as a team and individual players and where players fit. And I feel like one of our strengths this year are the strikers we have on the team, players that can get in front of the goal and create goal scoring opportunities for us. And there's a couple of us this year, so there's definitely a few girls that are have the opportunity to create goal scoring opportunities and are very good strikers. So the best thing for us is to get more strikers on the field. Playing these center attacking midfielder roles is a little bit different than being a striker with more players are in the dangerous goal scoring area that we talked about. So how we're going to adapt this, we're going to keep our four backs, the 7 and the 11, which were our center attacking midfielders. Instead of them being center attacking midfielders, they're going to push up to be strikers. So now we have three strikers. So you see we have a 4-3-3, but instead of us playing with two center defensive midfielders, we're going to flip-flop this triangle. We're going to have the 6 drop in as the one center defensive midfielder, the 10 and the 8 split. Now we have two center attacking midfielders. Okay, so you see how that formation we had adapted and just changed up slightly. So now we have a 4-3-3. If you look at it very carefully, you might see and pay attention to these strips here. Let me get my little annotation tool. So if you look at this carefully, it's actually, while I say it's a 4-3-3, you have more like a 2-3-2-3. Okay, so it's kind of like a 2-3-2-3. However, I don't want to call it a 2-3-2-3 at all, because then the number 2 and the number 3 get the impression that they're not defenders, and you are. The 2 and the 3 have the hardest positions in this formation, in this field. So, and sorry for the background noise, I'm in a public place. So the 2 and the 3 have the hardest positioning on this, the hardest job on this field. The 2, your job is up and down and up and down and up and down. If you get forward and you can't get back, you're likely coming off the field, because getting forward and not getting back into a defensive position, track back and help as a defender, leaves us very, very exposed, and we'll likely get a goal scored on us if we're not tracking back. So again, same thing with the 3. Up and back is all you're doing all day long. Okay, so while it looks like here a 2-3-2-3 formation, we're actually a 4-3-3. Okay, so let's take a look at how this 4-3-3 works. So we talked a little bit just now about the wingbacks. The last formation, one of our goals as a team was to get forward, wingbacks getting forward to support, and that's still going to be a goal. We're not going to change that at all. You girls, as young ladies, young soccer players, you need to learn these wingback positions, because almost every formation plays with wingbacks, and I know a lot of the high schools do as well. So learning this formation and learning this position is important, whether you're playing it or not, right? Is the number 11 here playing the 3 position? No, but they know exactly what the 3 is going to be doing, where they should be. Okay, so you're still wingbacks. I still want my wingbacks getting forward and supporting. You can see here when we're spread out, the goal is actually to spread out their defense, right? So we're going to look to be spread out up top and getting away from each other. So when we have the ball, let me get a little ball here. Let's get a blue ball. So our 2, or one of our outside backs, has the ball. 7's here to support, 9 shifting over, and the 11 is staying high and wide, right? As high as the defense will let us. So let's actually get a couple of defenders in here. 2, 3. I'm not going to keep the numbers system for now. Oh, sorry. Okay, so the point of staying high and wide is this. If we're very close together, the defense is very close together, there's no way in. There's no way for us to really get through this, right? But by staying high and wide, you're spreading out the defense. The defense is taught to be goal side, so they're tucked in here. They're right here. Now they're spread out. Now there's holes for us to get into a good defense, and I don't know how many good defenses we're going to play against, but good defense is more like this to shut down these holes. Okay? But more often than not, you're going to see this a lot more spread out. That's going to be able to create holes for us to get in. So just going with this theme, the 2 has the ball here. We have this winger, right wing, checking to the ball, getting a defender to come with them as well. 9 checking to the ball, 10 checking to the ball. The 6 checking at a flat angle. 6 is never getting, we'll talk about the 6 more in a minute, but the 6 is never getting ahead of the ball, right? The 6 is coming at this angle for supporting. 8's the switching point, or one of the central switching points, but they're checking in. They're not just hanging out over here, right? They're checking in. So now we have players around the ball. Okay, so this is what the number 2 should see. Okay, there'll likely be defenders in here, obviously, but this is the support that they should have. Okay, but 11 is still staying high and wide out here. Maybe pinching in just a little bit as this ball comes up. Now we're starting to pinch in, and this is the opportunity for the 3 to start to get forward. So as we start to pinch in, and this defender starts to pinch in, what does that do right here? That creates that space for 3. So if 10 plays the ball here and then gets a drop pass in here, and then 8 should be able to find 3 into this space down here, right? That would be one option. That would be a great option. But as we start to pinch in here, maybe come find the 11, and then the 11 plays out to the 3. We'll find the 11 and the 9 is shifting over, and now we're playing a through ball into the 9. Okay, but there's going to be tons of options going forward because of the players that we have moving forward. Right, we have a lot more attackers now. Okay, so how that looks as 3 gets in here, maybe this kind of gets picked off, or it gets stolen, or it gets stolen somewhere in here. 3's out of position. Now, what does this look like on defense for us? Immediately, the first things that happen, well, these players would be starting to push forward already. Okay, we would be kind of in something like this. And then as soon as 2 steals the ball, or any of the other team steals the ball, immediately what happens is we start to drop off. This defensive midfielder that we'll talk about in a second immediately finds a home right in between the 2 center backs. Right, immediately drops in between here. The 3 starts to track back as fast as they can because the 8 and the 10 are looking to slow this play down a little bit, not try to go steal the ball right away. Because they try to go steal that ball right away, and they get beat. Now we're even more exposed. So really, you're getting in front of the ball, right, and you're trying to just pinch it a little bit to slow this ball down so 3 can start to track back, and get there. All right, what's likely going to happen, though, is if 3 is in the right position for us and counterattack, there's going to be a lot of space out here, a lot of free space, and that's why 3 has to start tracking back and to get their support. But if they're all the way up here and they start to find this space and they start to play wide, that's what happens. We start to shift over. That's why it's important for the 6 to now fill in here, us coming this way, and then we start to pinch in. That's what we look like in defense. Okay, these players, the midfield players, are always looking to kind of just protect the middle of the field. We want to always protect this ball out here. Is not very dangerous. No one is scoring from over here. Okay, so we're just protecting the middle of the field. We're shifting. We're getting compact there, and just now this is a lot harder to get through. Okay, so that's what we look like in transition defense. Now, the other thing here, let me just fix this up a little bit. Let's get back into our formation. What am I doing? I'm missing. There we go. Okay, now. So we have to talk about the 6. This number 6 is the most important position in this formation. In terms of defense and positioning, the number 6 really needs to know what they're doing. I haven't figured out who the number 6 is going to be yet for the teams. It's likely going to be a couple of you going into that role, but really the number 6 needs to be the smartest player on the team and knows where to position themselves and when to take risks and when not to take risks. So I'm still working on who this player is going to be here, but this player is very defensive-minded, is very good at winning the one-on-one battle in the midfield, not trying to step up and try to steal every ball because then they get beat and they're left extremely exposed. All right, but the 6 has to be very smart and know their position well and a very good defender, but also able to play great passes. So they have to be attacking minded as well because they're supposed to be a very good passer, but also a very good defender. So I'm in search of one of you girls to take that role. So what does this look like for the number 6? So let me just ignore these reds for a few minutes. So for the number 6, and everyone needs to be paying attention to this because I don't know who the number 6 is yet. So even if you think you're a striker, you may be my number 6. So it's very important that you're all paying attention to this. The number 6, when we have the ball, You can go as far forward as the ball is, as long as you're always behind the ball, right? So the ball gets all the way up here, and maybe it's played out here wide, or just organize the defense a little bit. Okay, and maybe we're all getting forward. 10's getting over to their support. The 6 is always in the area of the ball and supporting, but from behind the ball. All right, we never really want to get too close. So we never want to get ahead of the ball. If we're getting too close and then we get beat over here, now we're exposed. But they're always behind the ball. They're always supporting. So in this particular situation, if the 7 has the ball out wide here, ideally what's happening is the 2 is coming up to support. Everyone's up the field. The 3 is starting to get up. 9's coming over. 11's coming over. 8's are switching point here. And 10's coming over to support. So the 6 is in the area of the ball, supporting from behind. Okay, so there's a couple of back options. Back option here, back option here, inside options. Okay, inside options. All right, but as soon as we lose that ball, say 5 picks this ball off, pass into 9, 5 gets it and starts to attack. This 6 does not go to defend at all. They immediately, because of this 3 likely being high and this 2 being high, and these defense split, what happens is they immediately just drop. Forget about the ball. The ball does not matter. No one's scoring a goal from here. Okay? Don't worry about the ball. All you do is just drop. Just start to drop, and split these 2 center backs. This will end up being a little bit wider and being a little wider, but all you do is just drop. Drop in here and become a center back. Now we have 3 center backs. Allows time for 10 to go stop this ball. 2 start to track and start to get back here. 3 is starting to get back and it's getting back into support. And the 10 and the 7 would try to win this ball back. But the 10 and the 8 would be the ones that try to confront the ball here and try to win it back. All right, or just slow it down to allow for the rest of the players to get back and drop a little bit. Okay, so again, the 6 is very, very important for being behind the ball at all times. So again, as soon as we win the ball, or the other team wins the ball, and they start to get forward with some passes, and they bring this ball forward and start to get forward here a little bit, the 6 is just shifting as a center back and staying right in between, never behind, right in between, and it's maybe a step in front or exactly even with the other 2 center backs. Okay, so you're really playing a role as a center back when we don't have the ball. Okay, so there's always 3 here. So ideally, if they win the ball and we get back to the defensive position like we should, you see you have 3, and I'm going to put them on this line so you see exactly what our formation should look like. If we're all 3 even here, and then we have our 2 wingbacks right ahead of the defense. Okay, you don't have to. Oops. We don't have to sit back and all be even here because that would be a little bit too much. But we want to just be as a nice little smiley face here. Okay, and then the 8 starts to drop in, and now we're in a good defensive position to cut this off and stop the counterattack. Okay. So that's the 6 from the offensive standpoint, always behind the ball, supporting the ball wherever it is. And then from a defensive standpoint, always just immediately forget about the ball, just drop in and find a spot right in between the 2 center backs. Now, if the other team is good at possession and they're maybe moving the ball around, the 6 isn't getting up to go steal that ball. They're basically 1 step ahead of the 2 center backs and just floating in here. Okay, you're never on top of one of the other, but you're always kind of just floating right in this area here. The 2 center backs will start to pinch, and you're always just positioned right in front of the other 2. Okay, the 2 center attacking mids, let's talk about them a little bit. The 2 center attacking mids are going to always be thinking attack. How do I get the ball to my strikers? How do I get it to their feet? And how do I then go up and support them and get around them? So let me just organize this defense. Okay. So my two center attacking mids, these got to be the playmakers, the creators, the good passers, all right? So the number 9 is going to have a very important position of sticking in between these two center backs here, moving around, trying to find space. But as soon as we win the ball and say 10 gets the ball, 9 needs to check too. And what's going to happen is one or both, maybe, of these backs will step up in here. So if we're checking 2, steps up in here, what happens, where's the space? Right behind the 4 and the 9. So even by just checking in here, even if they don't get the ball, what can end up happening is a check behind the defender here, still on sides because of this check created by the 9 got the 4 out of position. The 11 can come through here, and we can play a ball in. Or we play this ball to the 9 and they step up in here, and then we can play a little boom through here, something like that. There's tons of options as long as this 9 is checking to the ball. All right, if the 9 doesn't check, or if the 9 does check to the ball and they don't get this pressure, right? The defenders just sit back off, and there we got the ball, and they're able to turn. 10 is getting up to support, 8 is getting up to support, 6 is getting up to support. We're starting to make diagonal runs here, and we start to attack. Okay, we play a little ball, and go score goals. Okay, so it's very, very important for the 9 to start off in between the two center backs, and then as soon as 10, 8, any of these midfielders or 2, whoever it is, as soon as they win the ball and they pick their head up to see who to pass to forward, once you make that eye contact, that's when we're getting a little, that's when we're getting a little bit of a check-in to create that space right behind. Okay? A lot of times this check-in is a decoy, right? A lot of this time is just to get this player out of here to create that space behind us, behind for an attack. That's going to be the key to goal scoring for us. Okay? Key to goal scoring again is just this 9 checking in. And then playing this ball sometimes into that 9's feet and allow for this defender to get there. If we don't play it to them, if we just check in and there's no ball played, we just start to dribble, which I do not want to see a lot of, girls. We're not doing a lot of dribbling. But if we check in here and then this player just decides to continue to dribble, now look, really no one to play the ball to. Defense is in a good position, right? Playing this ball back to 9 doesn't do anything for us at that point because you already kind of took away all the space. So chapter 1 in our book, right? Play fast. Yes, you have some space to dribble in here. Should you? Likely not. Pass gets it there quicker, and then you get up to support. Everything else will create off of supporting and just playing that ball. Okay? That's very important. Now, last thing I want to mention is the wing backs. I mean the outside wingers, strikers, outside strikers, the 7 and the 11. So the 7-11, your defensive responsibilities. Good news is you have very little defensive responsibilities. I am happy with the girls as long as 6 is holding their position, 4 and 5 are holding strong. We have 2 very strong center backs. So between our center backs and the 6 holding their position strong, 2 and 3 working really, really hard to get back. And then the 8 and 10 cutting off the ball. I'm very happy defending with these 5 right here. And the 8 and 10 working back to support as well. So you're really defending with this 7. All right, defending with 7 is good enough, especially when you're playing against maybe a 4-4-2 formation. You have 4 midfielders and 2 strikers. That's 6. You have 7. You have numbers up. If you're playing a 4-3-3, You have 3 midfielders and 3 strikers. That's 6. You have 7. You're still playing numbers up. The only times when defending becomes very important for the 7 and the 11 is when the other team plays with wing backs that get forward, like we try to do. Right? If they're playing with a 3 that's starting to get forward, that is your responsibility. Right? So immediately at the beginning of the game, as soon as I put you in as you're a right striker or a left striker, as the 7 or 11, you find out who that wing back is, who that outside back is. If they don't get forward, good. You sit high and wide to spread them out. If they do get forward, you follow them the entire way. If they're the type of wing back that gets all the way forward, unfortunately, that's what you're doing. Right? You are support that's your man. You track them all the way back. Right? If you don't, there's going to be. Let me show you this. Hopefully this doesn't confuse you, but let me. Let's see, 4, 3, 3. Where are you? Oh, there you are. Yes. Okay. So if they're playing a 4-3-3, which you might see some 4-3-3s or 4-4-2s. So just try to pay attention to your colors here. We're still blue, right? But if we have a 2, say, all right, so now it's 2 getting forward, there are if you're not tracking back, if you're staying here, there are way too many players to defend for this 3. Right, and this ball gets played here. This 3 is completely outnumbered, and they're going to get confused, especially, and this is most important, if the ball's on this side and they're getting forward, right, the ball's coming down the wing, they're getting ready for a cross, we're all dropping in, right, 9's coming in, 8's coming in, 7's coming in, and the 2's coming in. We're basically 1, 2 against 1, 2, 3, 4 in this area. That's when we will give up a lot of goals. That's where we need you tracking all the way here. Okay? Very important. So again, if you know your position and you know who the other positions are, like the other team, you pick out who their outside wing back is. If they are not getting forward, you're good. Hang tight. There will be times that the ball will be in your general area. Let me just 4-3-3, 4-3-3. There will be times where the ball's in your area. Maybe they're playing over here and they're supporting, and maybe 6 gets the ball. And the ball's in your area. Yes, you go defend that. Go get that. Go win that ball. But if the ball's not in your general area, there's no reason for you to drop all the way in here, right? Because what ends up happening is we'll win the ball. We'll look to play in here. We'll look to play forward, and oops, there's nobody there because you dropped in. You thought you were doing the right thing by defending, but there's no one to defend. There's no one for you to be there, okay? So just pay attention to that player, that one player on your side. That's your one defensive responsibility. Okay. I think that's it, girl. So, again, we're gonna try it this weekend, you girls, and it's okay that if you don't do a good job with it this weekend. It's a learning process. It's not that much different from the position we were playing. The formation we were playing. It's just the same 6. We're going to decide who's that dedicated center defensive midfielder that plays that one dedicated role. Who are these 2 attacking midfielders that get forward and support? And then who the outside strikers are that are getting forward a little more and support the 9. One more thing I want to point out before we split. 2 more things, actually. It's very important for these 3 players to be working together and traveling together. Right, the ball's over here to the 7. We should be traveling together, and 6 supporting from behind. Okay, traveling together. So we're always, anytime one of us gets the ball, we always have triangle options. Okay, 10 plays the ball here, 6 gets up to support. Boom, we're already in this triangle. Like, we're always traveling together. Ball gets played here, maybe the ball gets played inside here. 10 gets over to support quickly. 8 gets over to support. 6 is getting here to support. Again, they're in a triangle. Okay, very important. And then the last thing is, kind of mentioned this before, but when we have the ball in our defensive half, it's very important for the strikers to be high and wide. Okay, so spread out the defense. But as we get closer to the goal, we start to pinch and we get in this. We talked about, well, a lot of us talked about zone 14, or this goal scoring area. Oh, what happened to my squiggly goal scoring area? Okay, as we get forward, we want these players to start getting pinched in here and get all 3 of our strikers in this goal scoring area. Okay, very important. We start to get forward. As we start to get forward, we start to pinch. So maybe the path, yes, maybe the path of this player, oh, no, don't do that. The path of this player is here, right? If you think about it, where they are on the field. When they're about half, they're as wide as can be, right? And as soon as they cross half, oops, as soon as they cross half, we start to pinch, start to pinch, start to pinch, start to pinch, 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 until we're all the way pinched in here around the box. Okay, we want to be pinched around the box. So look at that path again. As wide as possible here. Start to pinch, 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 and once we are in this area here, we're here. Same thing with the 11, as wide as possible at the half, and then we get forward. So what ends up happening is 9 being in here, 7's close, 11's close. This tucks everybody in, and then again, that's where the 2 and 3 can get into space. Hope this makes sense, Gross. If you have any questions, we can talk about it a little bit before the game this weekend, talk about it a little bit at halftime, talk about it a little bit after the game, and then practice it all the next couple weeks and prepare for our tournament. Okay. Thank you guys for listening in. Hopefully it wasn't too long. We're about 32 minutes. Hope you enjoyed, and I will talk to you all very soon. Bye.